Let's go, pal.
What's up, everybody? It's Yeong here with a Fallout 4 trailer analysis. After years of rumors and speculations, Bethesda has finally confirmed the next entry in the popular series with a lengthy in-game trailer. Naturally, I went ahead and analyzed it. There is a lot to talk about, so without further ado, let's dive right into it. The trailer begins in classic Fallout fashion with a "please stand by" that zooms out to reveal a television screen. This time the music playing in the background is "It's All Over But the Crying" by the Ink Spots. The brand of the television is Radiation King, a company in the world of Fallout that specializes in the production of TVs, radios, and jukeboxes. One of the company's stores can even be found ravaged in Fallout 3. As the camera pans further back, it becomes clear that this is a living room of what once used to be a family home. On the table is a board game, Blast Radius, and on the drawer here you can spot a portrait of the husband and wife. The trailer then takes us back in time to a pre-Great War version of the house. These flashbacks happen all throughout the trailer, and it's clear that the events leading up to the Great War, and perhaps even the Great War itself, will be a big topic for Fallout 4's story. Now, I have two theories about how the pre-war stuff will be implemented into the game. The game may simply offer scripted flashbacks as players progress through the main story. On the other hand, and this is the one that I'm leaning more towards, the pre-Great War stuff may be the intro portion of the game. Think of Fallout 3's intro, except instead of living through the protagonist's childhood, players would live out a portion of the protagonist's life before the Great War. And once the pre-war intro portion is done, my theory is that players will awaken in post-war Boston from cryogenic sleep, which was mentioned by Kotaku in their article regarding leaked casting scripts for Fallout 4. Anyway, moving on, in the background, a newscaster can be heard reporting some disturbing news via radio.
With the world poised on the brink of war, Vault-Tec is reporting a record number.
He makes it quite clear that the world is on the brink of war and then mentions Vault-Tec, which could only mean that at this point in the past, people are desperately trying to reserve their spot at a vault. The trailer then returns to the present, and we get our first glimpse at the main character's Canine Companion, who to me clearly looks like a German Shepherd. We are then once again taken to the past, where we hear more ominous reports from the radio.
Folks, it seems we've got some breaking news. Stand by.
While that's happening, we can see a Mr. Handy carrying a box of sugar bombs, a pre-war cereal brand that players can find and consume in both Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Fallout 4's new screenshot already shows that sugar bombs will make an appearance in post-apocalyptic Boston. We are then taken back to the present again, with the camera following the dog as it walks around the ravaged house. Along the way, we can find a retail box for Mr. Handy, which seems kind of small for something that big. Maybe Mr. Handy is one of those things that come in separate pieces that people have to build and put together themselves. The dog eventually enters a room with a crib, and as he does so, the trailer flashes back to the past, and we get to hear more news from the radio.
We seem to have lost contact with our affiliate stations. Stand by.
So basically, the situation is getting worse and worse with each passing moment. We are then given a close-up of the family that inhabited this house prior to the war. Now, a lot of people are assuming that the baby is a protagonist, but I'm inclined to believe that the protagonist is actually the father. First of all, if we compare this man to the male character printed on the casting script that Kotaku leaked, you can see that they look quite alike. Some of you may argue that the baby could be the protagonist since the baby can grow up to look like his dad, but to counter that, I would like to take a look at the contents of the script. Specifically, I would like to draw your attention to the second to last paragraph. We now stand on the brink of total war, and I am afraid. For myself, for my wife, for my infant son. If we assume the father's point of view in the trailer, the phrase, "for myself, for my wife, for my infant son," makes a lot of sense. Now, others may argue that there is no proof that this Kotaku leak is even legit, but notice how the script says, "We now stand on the brink of total war," meaning that in the script, the Great War hasn't happened, but is about to. This coincides with the trailer showing pre-war flashbacks of a time in which the world is poised on the brink of war.
With the world poised on the brink of war, Vault-Tec is reporting a record number.
I am honestly inclined to believe that Kotaku's leaked documents are real at this point. I'm sure the script has changed a bit since, but there are clear similarities between the contents of this script and the contents of the trailer. Long story short, I believe that the father is the main protagonist. Now, some of you may be wondering, what if I want to play as a woman? In that case, I believe that you will play as the mother, and the dialogue will change accordingly. Now, don't quote me on any of this, these are just my thoughts and theories. We are then taken back to the present, while the radio from the past continues to report.
We do have coming in confirmed reports of nuclear detonations. My God. Our soldiers were right. War never changes.
Yes, folks, that is Ron Perlman doing both the narration on the radio as well as his trademark line, War never changes. Now, I'd like to go back and take a look at the footage. Something very important happens right here. Did you catch that? It looks like for the first time in a Bethesda Game Studios game, interiors will be seamlessly connected with exteriors. For those complaining about the graphics, perhaps Bethesda made the choice to sacrifice a bit of graphical fidelity at the expense of seamlessness and immersion. Hell, I'll take it, I love me some seamless open worlds. We then get a nice view of what I'm sure is one of many open areas in Fallout 4's map of Boston, Massachusetts. Notice how bright and colorful everything is, and this is something that carries throughout the entire trailer. My theory for the game's colorful palette and cleaner looking world is that the radiation from the Great War is beginning to clear up and the world is beginning to rebuild itself, perhaps in large part thanks to the efforts of the Lone Wanderer and his success with Project Purity. That's the only plausible explanation that I can think of for why the world looks so much cleaner and less radioactive compared to previous games. I believe that the world is beginning to heal, and for this to be true, Fallout 4 would have to take place long after Fallout 3 and New Vegas. As for how I would explain the 2 centuries plus time discrepancy for the protagonist between pre-war and post-war if Fallout 4 does take place many years after 3 and New Vegas, as I mentioned before, Kotaku's article talks about players beginning the game in a cryogenic sleep chamber. With that in mind, the time discrepancy can easily be explained. Moving on, we are once again taken to the past, this time showing a panicking crowd fleeing their homes. On the sides, you can see cars with a very vintage design, very similar to the ravaged cars found in Fallout 3. At the top here, you can spot Fallout's version of the helicopter, the Vertibird, which can also be found in Fallout 2, 3, and New Vegas. As the trailer continues, the past and the present eventually meet up on this hill. From the looks of it, people seem to be lining up for a spot for one of Vault-Tec's vaults and to, quote, prepare for the future. The world is going to shit after all. We have also got guards with power armor guarding the gate. According to the Fallout lore, the power armor was developed prior to the cataclysmic Great War, so there's nothing wrong with this picture. The trailer then cuts to black, and the trailer then shows us our first glimpse of Vault 111, which is where the main protagonist will ascend from. As you can see, the way the vault opens is very similar to Fallout 3. Now, unlike in Fallout 3, the exit to the vault is more of a hatch than a door, which is interesting. And once again, we are given a look at a vibrant Boston. And yes, folks, the game setting is indeed Boston, Massachusetts, which was one of the first Fallout 4 rumors. The trailer pretty much goes out of its way to confirm this fact. First up, we have a shot of the Bunker Hill Monument, followed by a shot of a retrofitted USS Constitution. The next shot shows a very noir-like setting. This is Fallout 4's version of Scollay Square, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Looks pretty cool at night, not gonna lie. To the left here is a place called Memory Den. No earthly idea what this place could be, but if you have any theories, let us know in the comments below. Now, a few people have noted that this mysterious man here looks a lot like, well, the mysterious stranger that occasionally aids players with the mysterious stranger perk. That's probably a big coincidence though. Moving on, the trailer starts to show off some of the mutants and creatures of the wasteland, starting with the Brahmin, which are basically post-apocalyptic cows, pretty much harmless. In the background is some sort of shack built around a power line, and if you look closely you can spot 2 people sweeping the floor outside. The next spotlighted creatures are the super mutants. They might look like soldiers with power armor at first, but notice the cage at the top here, which is something that super mutants are known for. Next up is the Protectron, although this one seems a bit more high-tech than the one seen in previous games. In the background is some kind of city. It almost looks like it's under construction if you ask me. This is yet another sign that the world is healing in Fallout 4. These towns and cities shown throughout the trailer all look like they rose from the rubbles of the Great War in my eyes. Now, this next monster I'm having a little trouble distinguishing. It does have crab-like claws, so I'm going to assume it's a Mirrorlurk. but if you know I'm wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I am more taken aback by the background, which seems to be either a big-ass ship or a big-ass submarine. Regardless, it looks like players can expect to traverse all kinds of ravaged structures. Moving on, the trailer cuts back to the dog, who is roaming the wasteland through the underside of this massive bridge. I'm not sure what part of Boston this is, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. Now here is something scary. That is without a doubt a Deathclaw, and it looks even more terrifying than before with giant spikes extruding from its spine. Also compelling is the background. This is the only shot in the trailer that adds an apocalyptic filter. This shot actually looks like something from the older games, so it looks like in Fallout 4 some locales will be more hazardous than others, both physically for the protagonist and visually. My guess is that this area is some sort of ground zero for one of the nukes, which might explain why it hasn't healed as rapidly as some of the other parts of Boston. Next, we are given a closer look at another vertibird. This is likely some kind of Enclave reinforcement, since vertibirds are primarily used by the Enclave in post-war era. Also, if you look closely, you can see someone inside wearing a power armor, likely an Enclave soldier. Also making a return are ghouls, and like in previous games, they seem to be abundant in dark, tight interior areas. Now, these ghouls are a bit different from Fallout 3's in that their eyes glow. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that was the case for previous games. I think Bethesda took a bit of influence from Draugrs, who have glowing blue eyes. We are then taken to another location, and from what people are saying on the internet, this is Fenway Park Stadium, which is a baseball stadium that resides in Boston. The statue here clearly shows that this was indeed once a baseball stadium. We also have one dude chilling in the foreground armed with a rifle, along with a woman in the background gaining entrance to the stadium, which as we can see in this next shot has been repurposed to be a town. In the town we can spot a number of interesting things like the Enclave iBot casually drifting about, this dude wearing baseball gear, a store with a giant baseball bat on top, and stadium lights in the background that further prove that this town is indeed a repurposed Fenway Park baseball stadium. The same scaffolding for the lights can also be seen on the exterior of the town in the previous shot. It's also possible to make out some store names, including Swatters, which is perhaps where players can buy weapons, Chemicare, which is where I'm assuming players can buy medicine, drugs, and the like, Power Noodles, which just looks like a restaurant where players can chill and recover some health, and finally Diamond City Surplus, and that one I don't have a clue. Some kind of bank, perhaps? There is something that looks like an ATM machine here, guarded by a Mr. Handy. I don't know. We are then taken in front of the famous Paul Revere statue. In my first impressions video, I confused it with a George Washington statue, so I apologize for that. But what really draws my attention is this blimp in the background. I believe that this is further evidence that the game takes place long after Fallout 3. Technology has clearly advanced quite a bit since the days of the Lone Wanderer. For our next shot, we are given an impressive look at an urban town from within an ascending vertibird. I personally think that this shot is hinting that players will be able to take flight in one of these at some point in the game, something that should now be possible thanks to the power of current-gen consoles. The last landmark shown in the trailer is a decimated Massachusetts state house lurking in front of various apartment buildings. Not much else to see here, really. We are then taken back to Vault 111, giving us a clearer look at the hatch-like entrance and exit. The trailer then flashes back to the past. It seems as though these people missed out on their opportunity to claim a spot in the vault, leaving themselves exposed to take the full blunt of a nuclear explosion. Interestingly enough, 3 of these people are the family seen towards the beginning of the trailer: the father, the mother, and the infant child. We actually get a pretty good look at the father in this shot, and if we compare it to the image in the leaked casting script, you can see that the two do look similar, further corroborating the possibility that the dad is the main protagonist, or the mom if you decide to be a female character. As for how they survived the nuke, yeah, don't ask me. Maybe they took shelter in a refrigerator or some shit. The trailer ends with one final scene, giving us a closer look at the garage that seems to be what the protagonist calls home in the wasteland. I already analyzed the artwork or render of this garage in my previous video, but what the heck, I'll present that analysis right here, right now. The artwork seems to be showing some kind of storage garage. Perhaps this is confirmation that players will have access to a base of operations to store their items, weapons, armors, and gear, and to repair or create them. Hell, I would even go as far as to say that this is the main character's post-Great War home in the wasteland, as noted by the bed here on the right. Smack in the middle of the garage is the Fallout trademark power armor. Here is a side-by-side with Fallout 3's power armor for comparison. As you can see, they are quite similar, with minor differences in some of the detailing of the armor, but nothing to write home about. Now, if you look at the armor's left arm and leg, it's clear that it's being repaired or under construction, which might be further indication that this base of operations will allow players to repair and develop their own gear. You can even spot a workbench on the left side. Next to the power armor is the dog seen in the trailer. I would say that's a German Shepherd, but if you have any other suggestions for the dog's breed, let me know in the comments below. Now, unlike in Fallout 3, in which a dog made a cameo in the trailer, there was a lot of emphasis placed on the canine in the Fallout 4 trailer, which has me thinking that this dog will play a vital role in Fallout 4's story and gameplay. I don't think he'll just be a throwaway NPC. I think the dog will be an essential NPC that can be injured, but not killed, at least up until a certain point in the game. It's hard to say for sure though, but Bethesda really seems to be emphasizing the importance of this dog in all of their promotional material. Moving further to the right, we can find a couple of other things, like a rack of comics, as well as a poster of Nuka-Cola, the ever-popular soda brand in the world of Fallout. There is also a poster of Vault-Tec that can be found above the bed. Further to the right is a radio, which I'm sure can be used to listen to Fallout 4's myriad of stations. Finally, for this side of the room, on the shelves you can find a variety of brands and products, like a Abraxo cleaner, which could be used to create Nuka grenades in Fallout 3, or be used as ammunition for the rocket launcher. Below the Abraxo is a box of what looks to be Sugar Bombs, a brand of cereal from the pre-war era. In Fallout 3 in New Vegas, players can consume sugar bombs as food to restore a small amount of health. Alright, let's now take a look at the left side of the room. On the rack here you will find a variety of tools and weapons. In the middle of the rack is what looks to be a laser rifle. I'm not sure what this thing above it is though. It looks like it could be some kind of large attachment for a weapon, or some kind of explosive ammo. The rest definitely do look like they could be weapon parts, which could perhaps be hinting that Fallout 4 will once again allow players to customize their weapons with helpful attachments. Or perhaps they are parts that, when put together, make up a brand new weapon. Below the rack is a Pip-Boy figurine. More specifically, I think this might be a Pip-Boy bobblehead, like the ones found in Fallout 3. Perhaps we'll be able to collect these in Fallout 4 as well, with each bobblehead granting an extra point in one of the special attributes, or one of the player character's skills. Sitting on the floor is some ammo alongside what is clearly a minigun, which is a match made in heaven for those who favor wearing power armors. Finally, to the very left, below the workbench resides a ravaged Mr. Handy, which can act as both personal assistants or deadly security measures, depending on how they are programmed. Outside of the garage, you will find a Nuka-Cola vending machine to the right, as well as a custom rifle to the left. The rifle definitely doesn't look like it shoots bullets. I'm pretty sure this falls on the energy weapon category. It somewhat reminds me of a plasma rifle, but with a more rustic look. And that's pretty much everything that's noteworthy about this artwork. I think the most significant thing to get out of this is that players might have access to their own little house and base of operations, where they can do anything from resting to repairing or building gear. Perhaps Fallout 4 will take a page out of Skyrim's Hearthfire DLC and have an extensive customization system in place for the protagonist's home. So there you go. The trailer does provide a closer look at the garage's interior, so you can see more details on things like the power armor, the comics, the posters, the weapon rack and its weapons and parts, as well as the Charisma Vault-Tec bobblehead. Moving on, we get a close look at Fallout 4's Pip-Boy. Apart from some minor details, they look pretty much the same, but I'm sure this new edition of the Pip-Boy comes with some software upgrades that will make menus and other gameplay elements more intuitive and efficient. One last thing to analyze is this.
Let's go, pal.
Yup, the main character has a voice now. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, but I for one don't mind as long as the freedom to make choices that have consequences that affect the game world remains intact. As for the protagonist's voice actor, a lot of people seem to think that he sounds like Troy Baker, and I can definitely kind of hear it.
Let's go, pal.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was him. The dude's been taking lead roles for all kinds of AAA titles in the gaming industry. Oh, one more thing, if you look closely you can see that this character also resembles the one printed on Kotaku's leaked casting script, from the stubble beard to the sleeked back hairstyle. You can even see that their outfits are near identical, featuring the same texture, seams, protrusions, and neck collar. For me, there is little doubt at this point that Kotaku's leaked scripts are legitimate.
Let's go, pal.
And with that, I would like to conclude this trailer analysis. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts and theories on this trailer. Also, if I made any mistakes or missed anything, be sure to let me know as well. Finally, be sure to like and share this video with all your fellow Fallout fans, and to be further updated on Fallout 4, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.